Hi guys, and welcome to another quick video tutorial. My name is Manny, and in today's tutorial I want to show you guys again Photoshop Basics and Tools Part 6. If you haven't viewed any of the rest, please fall back on the video blogs and view 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now in today's tutorial I want to pretty much just again cover the next few tools, which is the eraser tool and the gradient tool. Now in the eraser tool we also got background eraser tool and magic eraser tool. Not going to talk too much about these two tools because to be honest with you guys, I don't really work a lot with these two tools. Then as well the gradient tool and the paint bucket tool, to be honest again, I also don't work a lot with that. Just going to scratch it very quickly to show you guys what it does. Okay, let's get started, and first off we're going to select our eraser tool over here. And as you guys must probably noticed already, our application bar has changed again. And now before I even start to talk about the application bar here at the top, please fall back in Photoshop Basics and Tools Part 4 if you haven't seen it. I do explain a lot about the brush tool over here, and why I'm saying that is because the brush and the eraser, they pretty much have the same functions and they pretty much work the same way. So if you want to apply a different eraser nib or the brush, then just have a look. In that tutorial I discussed everything, how to adjust your brush and how to work with your brush. Now let's get started with the eraser tool, and quickly in the top here again we've got some presets, again your brush and your brush presets, or how to adjust your whole brush so it applies to your own settings. Then the mode, I want to keep it to brush. You can choose pencil or block. I want to keep it as brush. Opacity 100%, then flow 100%, and erase to history, not quite working with this. Then as well you can see these small icons over here. I'm just going to deselect them quickly. Basically what these small icons over here mean, that I can use my pen pressure now, and that when I apply more pressure with my pen to the board, it just paints, or the opacity goes harder or softer. The same with the flow as well. If I apply more pressure with my pen to the board, my flow gets harder or softer. Just if you select these icons now. So I'm going to deselect them quickly, and just quickly on the eraser show you guys what the eraser does. Alright, on our original layer, Command J. For my Windows friends, Control J. Just going to rename that to retouch, so we're working very constructive, and if we do a mistake we can always fall back onto our original layer. Okay, going to blend out the original layer, and now on my retouch layer, pretty much what the eraser does, it just erases like a normal thing on a current layer. So if you're working on your retouch layer now, it will just erase on the retouch layer. Like if I'm just painting over here, it erases everything that you have brushed over. If I'm going to select my original layer now, you won't see the effect. So just be sure, if you erase on a single layer, that won't affect anything, but if you duplicate a layer, just watch out that your other layer is blended out like mine now, the original. So on my retouch layer again, I'm gonna go back here a few steps so we don't have that erasing. Alright, and now I want to just erase her eyes very quickly, so I can just do that very quickly via painting with my pen here and just erasing that whole thing. Then as well, like I showed you guys before, if you hold Control and Alt together, you can move left and right and change your brush size really quickly. This only works in CS5, so just bear that in mind. If we go up and down, you can feather that. They're pretty much the same functions like your brush. So if I go up, I feathered it quite a lot, and now if I erase, have a look that all my edges are very feathered. So this is also a very handy trick if you're erasing sometimes. Now quickly to show you guys again what the small icons over here means. If I select these icons, I can then take my pen and also with my pressure now just paint very soft on my board, and you will see that my brush size is very small, and also just erasing at 80% or 20% of actually at 80% of opacity. And now if I press even harder and apply more pressure to my board with the pen, then you'll see that my opacity goes to erasing at 100%, and that also my brush is at full size. So I'm painting or erasing the whole thing. Alright, so that's pretty much how I work with my eraser, and how the pen also contributes to that whole thing. Alright, so let's go zoom out here a little bit. And yes, normally I wouldn't really erase just like that. I would take the lasso tool, create a selection, or have a selection, and then take with E back to my eraser, just make it a little bigger here with my brush scroller, and then I can just erase very quickly and have the whole thing erased. I'm going to talk more about that in the future tutorials, but just to show you guys quickly how the eraser works and what it does. Okay, press Command D to deselect that whole area again. And now we're also going to talk quickly about the background eraser. It's very confusing for me as well. You can see that your application bar has changed again, and in here it also erases very weird and different ways. So maybe read up on that in the internet a little bit. To be honest, I don't really work with this tool at all. Alright, then also Magic Eraser tool works pretty much like the Magic Wand tool. It just selects the same RGB readings and pixels on its way. So if I want to select in the dark spots over here from the dark blues, then it will deselect or just erase all the dark blues and all around the person and select most of the blues. You can also change your tolerance here at the top, so it just erases more or erases less. So that actually means that it picks up more RGB readings and more pixels, or it picks up less RGB readings and less pixels. Alright, go back to deselect again, back on my retouch layer over here, eraser, and I'm just gonna erase my whole layer. Command J, Control J again, and just do the same effect again, retouch layer, okay. And on my retouch layer now, again, I'm going to show you guys quickly the gradient tool and the paint bucket tool. Pretty much with the gradient tool, again, our application bar changed again, and in here you've got some presets again. You can load or create your own presets again. Then over here you've got different options from using the gradient, either a linear gradient, you can have a radial gradient, you can have an angle gradient, you can have a reflected gradient, or a diamond shaped gradient. Sometimes these come in handy. In the future tutorials I'm going to show you a little bit where I use these things. Then over the mode, we've got also different blending options here again, like the same you've got with your layers. You can choose between different blending options. I'm just going to keep it to normal now, opacity 100, and reverse. Not going to do that. Then you're just going to reverse your effect. Sometimes that comes in handy. Jitter is cool, and transparency also going to keep that on, and mostly have those two options on. Alright, so either you can use it now on your layer directly, or you can create a new layer, like I'm going to create a new layer quickly. And on here, basically what you do with the gradient, you just click with the mouse and drag it through your image and just drop it. Then you'll see that you directly created a gradient from white to black, and from here it's fading from white into black. But now, as you guys can see, it's not pure white and not pure black. That's because I started already from here to here. So if I'm going to start in my image from this side to this side, you will see that it's going from pure white to pure black. You can also do it from an angle. Like I said before, you can also choose different options here at the top and do it from there, so it's like a circular motion. And this stuff comes in quite handy if you want to create like a flare effect, or if like just a light effect, you can use a gradient. Then over here you can just change your different blending options again to soft light, and like you see now, we've got like a light effect going through our image down all the way. So if you want to create a small vignetting effect or something like that, that also comes in handy a little bit. You can still change your opacity and way more and more. If you want to use it like an effect, like a graphic designer, you can just use it like this, drag it through your image, maybe have it as a background or whatever you want to do with it. If you want to have a really feathered, soft black and white edge, you can also just do that. If you want to also now, you can just go over here and see that Photoshop has some presets for you already. I don't really work a lot with these presets. If you want to create some cards, whatever you want to do, you can also use that. Now, if you want to, what I mostly do is go over here and then just say I'm double clicking on a gradient. And now we've gone to the gradient editor, and in here you can pretty much just create your own gradients. So you can say double click onto the color picker here, say red, okay, and say black. You want to keep it to black, so now it's fading from red into black. Just going to say okay, and have a look now. If I'm going to do the gradient, it's a red with yellow and whitish. Actually, transparency, sorry, it's going from red to transparent. That's why we're still on the red layer. So I'm going to deselect that, create a new layer, and now I'm just going to paint, and you'll see that it just goes from red into nothing. So you can create your own gradients and go really nuts with these gradients. They really come in handy a lot. Okay, we're going to do that as well from this side and just create more and more gradients. Okay, then also next tool that I want to talk about quickly is the paint bucket tool. Just going to delete this layer quickly, and on our retouch layer, like I said before, I don't work too much with this tool. It's very beginnerish, I would say. Not that useful for me in my retouching stuff. Basically, you just have your foreground color or your application menu changed again here at the top. Just read through a little bit how to work with this. You can just change your foreground color here at the front again, say it to red, okay. Foreground, yes, I want to keep it like that. Mode, normal on my normal blending options. Opacity, tolerance, say about 100%, that should be good. And now if I select this bucket over here, or the background, everything of my blues and even more started to change to a red color, or you filled it with a red color. So if you say doing it on another layer with a selection, then it would come in handy, but just like this, applying it directly onto something is not that useful to me. So Control Z, go back. Say for instance we created a new selection again with your lasso tool or pen tool, what either. You have a selection around here, okay, over there, and you want to fill that layer, then this tool would come in handy. You can just take your paint bucket, select that, and it will directly fill that layer. As you guys can see also now, with tolerance, it just painted on the skin and not into the blacks, so that's the tolerance mode over here. If you tune that a little bit more or a little bit less, it's going to pick different RGB readings and different pixels again. Alright, yeah, so that was pretty much my quick tutorial today. Hope you guys found this helpful. My name is Manny, and see you all next week in another tutorial. Bye bye.